Hey everybody, it's Jack from Atlantis Water Gardens. Today I am starting out in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. This is a project that we built 2 seasons ago. We're going to show you some finished results, because I know you're always asking for that. And we're going to talk about what these projects cost to build. And I brought my buddy with me.
Yes, you did. Pond guys here.
How are you?
Very nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Long time pond owners, huh?
Yes.
Okay, what do people say that come to your house for the first time?
Oh wow,
Yes,
things
they
like
do.
that.
They love to see our pond all the time.
Yeah,
too.
their sons
The
over there
kids
come over.
constantly.
Yeah,
And your grandkids.
And the grandkids,
Oh, yeah.
they want to go in the pond.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Michael, our
Mike.
youngest, has been in the pond a couple of times.
This was one of my favorite pond installs, especially because just Tom and Andy are fantastic people. They were so much fun to work for. And they kind of gave us our freedom to create what we wanted. I was worried because they're huge, huge fish people. They actually have a name for every single fish in this pond. So it was stressful worrying about taking care of their pets. But once we got into this and we were able to just start tearing the old pond out and recreating the new one, this backyard expanded big time. The old pond, which was kind of getting disheveled and the waterfall was leaking, was over in this space here, and it just took up about this footprint right here. Originally we were just going to rebuild the waterfall because it was leaking and wasn't working anymore. Then Tom said to me, hey, let's talk about making the pond bigger. And as we talked about it, it got bigger and bigger, and finally it turned into what it is now, which is from end to end almost 45 to 50 feet long and probably about 14 or 16 feet wide. We've got an awesome intake bay skimmer over here, huge area here for debris to come in. The fish love to swim in and out of this area. It's got a nice current right there. Koi are river carp, which love the flow of the water, and they get to come in here, play around in the stream. They do a lot of their spawning in here, so they'll lay their eggs inside here. We've got 2 pump vaults here, which are housing our pumps, which run our constructed wetland filter and waterfall, and we've got jets running in here as well to keep circulation going. The old pond had a stone wall, kind of a disheveled stone wall in front of it. It made it hard to be approachable. It wasn't really interactive as far as the space goes, so we're like, you know what, let's get this thing down flat. We want to create spots with these big stepping stones where you can get out right on the water, interact with the fish, because they really just love the fish so much. This is a great spot to feed from. Their grandkids come out here, lay on the rock, and just get super close to where the fish are. That water is gin clear right to the bottom. And what's so cool is with that gravel backdrop, the colors on those fish really pop out. From the pond right to the patio, everything was thought about on how to make this incorporated and interactive. So having these seating spaces, that beautiful fire pit area, all directed towards where the pond is. And of course, as soon as you walk out that kitchen door, the first thing you're greeted by is this beautiful water feature. Just look at some of this creeping Jenny that's growing on the edges, and that's kind of the stuff that we're really after. We want to blur those lines between aquatic and terrestrial, and as the years go on, this will grow even more to the point where this whole edge will pretty much become a live edge of just plants. So you won't even see the rocks that are on top. You'll just see that greenery coming out and making it such a soft transition from the water to the landscape. Down inside here, it's hard to tell, but this is actually a tunnel. The fish can swim down in through here and they can pop out right over on that side. We've got a couple of those inside the pond. These guys are just loving it. Since we're out here in the Poconos, we had to do something that looks like it came out of nature. This place is all about the natural landscape that's in the area. That's why people come out here, to see these beautiful rock outcroppings and trees, and that's the reason people come to the Poconos, is for the nature. And replicating that with this waterfall was extremely important. Utilizing indigenous stone, we were able to create something that looks like it just wells up out of the hillside and makes its way down into this pond. Now, of course, we need to be able to keep this pond clean, and that's what this area is all about. This is our constructed wetland filter. We're pumping water into the bottom. There is a centipede and snorkel module followed by layers of aqua blocks. Then there's graduations of rock and gravel. So it's flowing down to the bottom, up through all that filtration, makes its way out, starting the headwaters of the waterfall. Completely natural looking, and it's keeping that pond super crystal clear. Some of the other things we did here was we put in a rodent barrier. It's called concrete cloth. That protects our liner, especially in the wetland and the stream. We do have issues with chipmunks and rodents, sometimes roots. And when you're doing a project of this magnitude with all these big boulders, you want to do whatever you can to ensure that it lasts a super long time. So putting in that concrete cloth was very important before we actually built this. We've got an 8x10 wetland filter. There is every bit of 15 feet of stream and waterfall. The pond itself, like I mentioned before, probably about 14 or 15 wide by almost 50 feet long. That big intake-based skimmer. And we're running 2 pumps inside here. One's running all our jets, the other one is running the waterfall. We've also got an aeration system, which is moving that water from the bottom of the pond up to the top, keeping that water column super clear. Now, a project like this would be about $100,000. That's with the underwater lighting, the aquatic planting, and everything. That is not including patios, fire pits. So when you get into doing a full landscape project like this with something of this size, it can approach $150,000, $160,000, $170,000, which I know is a lot of money, but if this is what you're into, it seems like it's money well spent.
Well, this is the only thing I don't like about my job, is having to leave. Like, we're having a fun conversation. Actually, my thoughts real quick. This would be actually good. I'd like to hear this, as we were talking about how you had an aquascape pond, you joined a koi society, they convinced you that you needed a bottom drain, and you needed filters in the house, and then you went back to an aquascape pond, and even a bigger aquascape pond. What, compare and contrast, and because there's so much misinformation in some people, what do you wish you would have known, and what did you do that you regret doing?
We had to make the pond bigger that we had, and it was an aquascape concept design. And when we got involved with, there was a company that did those kind of ponds, and he was a dealer on koi and did seminars. So when we went there for a couple of seminars with neighbors that we became friendly with, and learned about what they do and how he had his pond set up with the bottom drains, we kind of got that religion in our heads and decided, let's try that. And it took us a while. I approached Steve if he would do it, and he said, I don't do that.
Right.
He said, I don't do bottom drains. So I said, okay. I respected that. And we went ahead, found somebody who did it, but I don't know if it was done exactly the way it should have been done, because we had the skimmer box set up to the basement and was pulling off the bottom drain, and I don't know if the flow was, you know, doing exactly what it should have done. And I think the bottom drain probably built up sediment over the years, so the flow got even
Slower
worse.
and slower. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the water just never seemed as clear as it can be.
Right.
And,
Not at all.
And
we
what
had
about
no
the-
stone in there at all.
Right.
You know, which might have been part of the problem.
Because you don't have the bacteria colonies. And what about the maintenance of the old system versus the wetland aquascape intake bay system?
Oh, I had 2 skimmers on that old system. I had a skimmer with an internal pump, you know, to pump up to the waterfall section.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had the other skimmer for the basement pump system. So on a daily basis, I had Nutella mats
Mm-hmm.
and nets to clean out.
On a daily basis?
On a daily basis. Well, I'm kind of, you know, particular, so.
And how much time, how much, you got this put in 1 year ago, how many times did you clean the wetland?
I did it this season.
Once?
Once, yeah.
So in a year time frame, from daily to once?
Yeah, for that. And then there's no mats, there's no nets.
Right.
And, you know, just 40-minute routine on a daily basis with the old pond system compared to 5 minutes with the net and the skim and the intake
And
tank.
better water quality.
Right.
Oh, I can't. It's
It's night and day.
and sometimes when the sun is hitting it just right, it's amazing how clean and clear you can see.
Looks like they're floating.
It's
Fair.
amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. I was actually in the pond today to get the caves opened up, and I was down there with the snorkel mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking in the cave. I had a flashlight and I could see. And it's amazing how even in the cave you can
so
see clear.
You really are a hobbyist. I love
Yeah, he
that.
was
like
in
great.
there.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like I got after my own heart. But I only have one more thing. Can we hear the guitar?
I'll play a scale maybe, but don't ask me to do a song. I'm still learning.
I love it. Well, when you have a pond that represents a guitar, I got to hear the guitar player.
Under one condition, Jack doesn't film it.
Oh, okay, I'll film. You don't.
You know the best part about ponds, right? It's the people.
It's the people.
It's
Yeah,
the
we don't
people.
want to leave. The guy's playing a guitar. We're hanging out, having a coffee. It's great. And I love the fact that they had an aquascape pond. They tried the koi route and they went back to a bigger aquascape pond, keeping it low maintenance with the ecosystem.
Pond people are just more chill, right?
They're completely cool. Every single one of them. It's always fun. That's why I say I love my job.